Two things I know very well: fantasy football and fantasy baseball. I got a few championship seasons that say I'm pretty damn good, okay? Quite a few. 4 fantasy football championships. 3 fantasy baseball championships. Might I mention, I was 1 week away this past season in 2017 from three-peating and repeated in fantasy football. So take it from the Thomas Take that you are listening to a guy that knows what he's talking about. So in this episode, I will be talking about a topic that is definitely picking up steam, and that is fantasy baseball as we gear towards fantasy baseball season. And obviously baseball season starts March 29th this year, opening day. Very excited for baseball season. As a matter of fact, the current t-shirt that I'm wearing right now is the Major League Baseball logo t-shirt. I got it at Old Navy for $10, as well as a Boston Red Sox t-shirt, which gives away my fandom. For those of you that don't know, I'm a massive Boston Red Sox fan. Always have been, always will be. And I've really enjoyed watching these teams around the Red Sox get pieced together. We got some great talent in the major leagues right now, a lot of great young players. And I wanted to put together a top 10 list. The top 10 hitters and players, actually, I should say, in fantasy baseball this year. So I'm going to go from 10 to 1 for all the people that are tuning in. Giancarlo Stanton clocks in at 10. Reason why I have Giancarlo Stanton at 10, usually a player of his magnitude sometimes has a bit of a transition period when he's transitioning from one team to the next. I don't know if we'll see immediate success from Giancarlo. Obviously, he's a fantastic player, the best power hitter in the game. Really, my question for him is his durability. He's really only had one full healthy season in his career, and that was this past season. Outside of that, he has been unhealthy throughout his entire career, really. And I know that firsthand because I've owned him in in a few seasons. I think actually 3 seasons last year, and I think 2013, 2014 maybe. Great player, the best power hitter in the game. Easily, and that was obviously case in point in 2017. Great player, but usually moving on to a new team in the New York Yankees, great fit, great supporting cast, but usually there is a little bit of a transition period. He might have a down point in his season, which leaves me to put him at 10. Carlos Correa, in my eyes, the best shortstop in the game. I really have enjoyed having Carlos Correa since the moment he was called up. My keeper league, I got him. My dynasty league, I got him. I'm looking forward to having him for many, many years. This was a kid that was drafted first overall by the Houston Astros that has just ascended, and has completely fulfilled his potential. Now, he has had some instances of injury and stuff like that. There were some down parts of his season last year, as there is for everybody, but he's only going to get better. He is a fantastic player. I love watching him play. Clocking in at 8, Paul Goldschmidt of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Goldschmidt lost a little bit of his supporting cast in J.D. Martinez to the Red Sox, but I really think he's regaining a little bit of a supporting cast in the Steven Souza trade, which just went down a few days ago. Souza comes over from the Tampa Bay Rays, adds another dimension to that Diamondbacks lineup, and he's been an underrated player for the Rays. Paul Goldschmidt, though, has been one of the most highly rated players the last 4 or 5 seasons and has lived up to the billing. So I got him there, clocked in at 8. Best first baseman to have in fantasy by far. Charlie Blackmon, this guy is putting up astronomical numbers. Really, he could easily be higher in the top 10, could be ranked at 5th or 6th maybe, but I just haven't seen enough of it, year by year by year, but I think we will. His teammate, Nolan Arenado, clocks in at 6th. Nolan Arenado easily making a case as the best third baseman in baseball. The ball carries there in Coors Field, and I think that he's been a fantastic representation of that. In terms of him on the Rockies, he's their franchise player. There's no doubt. They have Blackmon, Arenado, Trevor Story is decent, and those are the three guys that they can build around for quite some time. Trey Turner, the shortstop. Trey Turner, my man. I really enjoy Trey Turner for a wide variety of reasons. The guy's fast. The guy's fast. He can play. There's no doubt about it. He can definitely play. And I think when we saw him last year, the one thing that remains a constant to me is the fact that he was just so dominant in the stolen bases category. So dominant. He was a guy that I went up against multiple times in the stolen base, category. It seemed like the weeks that I went up against him, he just went crazy. One week he had six stolen bases alone. That was far and away enough for my dad, unfortunately, to beat me that week. So Trey Turner clocks in at 5. Bryce Harper clocks in at 4. Easily one of the best players in the game. He's had his moments, though, of having down seasons, having injuries, letting things get into his head a little bit. And I think that definitely there is some sort of anger issues there. There has to be with Bryce Harper. Mookie Betts clocks in at 3. Mookie Betts, the centerpiece, the franchise guy for the Boston Red Sox. Easily my favorite player in the major leagues for obvious reasons. I don't think there's bias there in saying that he's a top 5 player in the major leagues right now. I don't think there's bias in even saying that he's a top 3 player in the major leagues right now. He's been fantastic. Even in a down year power-wise, he had didn't have as good of a year in 2017 as he did in 2016, but he carried the Red Sox in 2016 and 2017. Most of the credit is given to Big Papi in that 2016 season, and rightfully so. But Mookie Betts was the emerging player of that season. Jose Altuve clocks in at number 2. What else is there really to say about the guy? I mean, I think he's the best player in baseball. I really do. Fantasy-wise, he was a huge part of the reason why I've won the championships that I've won the last few years, and he's a huge reason why the Houston Astros themselves won a World Series title last season. Clocking in at number 1, you guessed it, Mike Trout. Now, the thing that makes Mike Trout so special, nobody has had a run of success, the wide variety of success that Mike Trout has had in the span of a beginning of a career. Most guys have that in a career or are lucky to have even a few of the things that Mike Trout has accomplished in a career. They're considered lucky. Mike Trout is probably going to go into Cooperstown. He's got a lot of years ahead of him of being a franchise player, a dominant player, obviously barring injury, and the Los Angeles Angels have to feel so lucky to have this guy. He is the face of baseball right now, along with the guys I mentioned, Betts, Harper, Altuve. I'd say Trout is the face of baseball, though. He's the guy that you would want your kid to have the poster of him on his wall and look up to. He's an awesome individual, does so much work for charity, and was obviously at this year's Super Bowl rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles. Just a cool guy, and I've always rooted for him. I've always thought that he would be the superstar that he is today. He was a guy that I picked up as soon as he was called up. I picked him and Harper up in my league at the time when they were both rookies. And everyone thought, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. No, not really. Now these two guys are the two faces of baseball. So that is my top 10. Obviously, let's go through it again. Stanton, Giancarlo Stanton of the New York Yankees now, Carlos Correa of the Houston Astros, Paul Goldschmidt of the Arizona Diamondbacks, Charlie Blackmon of the Colorado Rockies, Nolan Arenado of the Colorado Rockies, Trey Turner of the Washington Nationals, Bryce Harper of the Washington Nationals, Mookie Betts of the Boston Red Sox, Jose Altuve of the Houston Astros, and Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which I think is probably one of the most ridiculous things that's ever happened in sports, to have one team named to two different cities. Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Doesn't make any sense, but oh well. Guy that isn't in this top 10. I know that people are going to be like, you didn't even put him in your top 10? Aaron Judge, not in this top 10. Because he's only had one good year, albeit a great year, but until I see more, I'm not ready to name him one of the 10 best players in baseball. So, I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take. Take care, everybody.